So here's what we're looking at. Very dark and cloudy skies over Hayden Peak. I would say probably a 100% chance of getting rained on at some point, and I'm excited about it. Alright, trail's over that way. I'll come back in a little while. There are a lot of these purple flowers in bloom right now that weren't in bloom before. The daisies are kind of going away, but these are pretty cool. Anyone knows what those are called, feel free to comment down below. We got thunder. Those are some really dark clouds over that way. So this is a pretty easy trail. It starts out easy, becomes moderate. My goal is just to get up to where I want to be as quickly as possible to try to get set up before all of this storminess makes it more difficult than I want it to be. So I'm wearing my waterproof hiking boots today because, not just for obvious reasons, the last couple of trips I've gone on, I've gotten my feet wet. Even in, in nice weather, you walk out into a meadow and it turns out to be really spongy and wet. Next thing you know, your socks are soaking wet and it's very uncomfortable. I always bring extra socks, but if I can add one more component to this to keep from being uncomfortable, then I'm going to. I did leave some luxury items at home this time. I did not bring my hammock, and our meals up here will be interesting as well. Much lighter weight than MREs. Didn't bring those this time, but I brought some components left over from other MREs, and I just wanted to carry lighter this time. So my pack only weighs about, I think it was 16 to 18 pounds without water or food. So with food and water a little more, but this time the food is not the bulk of my weight like it was before. I think it's mostly the water I'm carrying. I said I wouldn't film along the trail because you've seen it before, but it's so different with all of these storms moving in. It's just beautiful. I've mentioned this in other videos. I'm very sensitive to the altitude. I live at 4,000 feet. We're at 10,000 feet. And even on the flat portions of the trail, I get winded. And back home, I almost never get winded. But it happens here every time. So you're gonna hear a lot of heavy breathing. I passed an older couple hiking in just to check out the scenery. They're not going in very far. There was a guy and his friend and his friend's wife. And the two guys are wearing, polo shirts, shorts, hiking shoes, or at least athletic shoes. But that poor lady, I don't know if she's ever been on a hike in her life. She was wearing strappy sandals, blue jeans, a cardigan. None of them had a backpack of any kind, so it's good that they're not going in very far back. She looked like she loved the scenery, but was not enjoying the hike. Definitely an indoor girl. Ah, well, you gotta give her credit for trying, I mean, look how beautiful this is. To hear that thunder rolling. It's so spectacular up here. Am I worried about lightning? Yeah, but I know what to do, and I'm being safe and sensible, because somebody's bound to say something in the comments about, you better watch out for that lightning. Okay, I will. Last time I was here, this sign was all, the screws were out. It was all over the place, but it's pretty worn out. A lot of weathering. The snow gets incredibly deep up here in the winter. You can't get up the highway, not without a snowmobile. Just some refresher, Ruth Lake is only, I almost say less than a mile in. And then up above that is Hayden Lake. Off to the side, Naomi. We're gonna go up to Hayden where I camped before and continue on past that to Jewel Lake. The scenery is just, it's hard not to film this. So I said I wouldn't, but this is incredible. It's very humid, obviously, but it's muggy. That's part of my breathing issue too. Not just the altitude, but the moisture in the air. I'll tell you what I'm really frustrated with at this point. I paid for the pro version of All Trails. And every time I've come up here, even though I've downloaded the maps at home for offline use, I get a blank white screen. I know I'm using it right. I've watched several tutorials. I'm going into my favorites and my maps that I've downloaded. Here you can see kind of a preview of them. And then I click on the map and it's just blank. Just infuriates me. Luckily, I know pretty much where I'm going. But that should be there. Okay, so the map, the map that's not working, it looks like, is the actual All Trails map. Their own map doesn't work. If I go to the layers I downloaded, then we get the US topographical map, which is just as useful. It's fine. And I wonder if the satellite one works. I downloaded the satellite version. Okay, nope. For some reason, yeah, it says downloaded. I click on it and it keeps going back to not only the topographical map, but it zooms. Yeah, this is topographical. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, this is good enough. Here we are on the trail. It's keeping track, and it should let me know if I get off trail. So that's a relief, but it's kind of annoying that, oh, the satellite one just showed up. Okay, hang on. Now I'm leaving these mistakes in the video. If I'm being impatient, I'm going to click on the All Trails map and just give it a few and see if it pops up. Because so far it's just, now it's sitting on satellite. Okay, so it may just be my impatience. Maybe it is working, but what happened last time, my last outing to the Clyde Lake area, the map was just gone. I waited and waited and waited. I never got a map. I have one now. So it shows me on trail. It's working offline. I had some comments about last year's Kubrant Trail hike, 2020. By now you've seen the 2021 version, but back in 2020, I missed the turnoff for the Kubrant Basin, and I was using Google Maps. And the reason I was using Google Maps is because I had a signal. I picked up a signal, and all I had was the All Trails, what do you call it? Non-pro version, amateur version, I don't know. So I didn't have any access to anything. But for some reason Google Maps picked up, and I was able to figure out where I got lost. And somebody commented that I need to quit using Google Maps, start using, or she said online stuff, start using maps. You know, I found my way back. I knew what I had done wrong. I knew where I was. I wasn't lost. I just hiked too far and had to backtrack. So anyway, I appreciate the criticism, but I did make it out alive, obviously, or you wouldn't have had the video. And also, I leave those mistakes in on purpose. I can edit them out. You guys know that, right? Like, it's easy to edit it out and make it look like I did everything right. There's a saying that an outdoorsman who says he's never been lost is not an outdoorsman. Of course I've gotten off trail. Of course I've taken the wrong trail. I've done it a few times, but I've always found my way out and found my way back. So I appreciate the criticism. I know they mean well, but the video is there with the mistakes in it on purpose. Nobody forced me to upload that. And the Kubrant Basin was especially important because I got off trail in an area where a little boy lost his life and disappeared and has never been found. So I left it in there to show how easy it can be to get lost. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but it looks like the All Trails is now working, but not the All Trails map. It's not working at all. But the topographical is enough, and here comes a crowd of noisy people. Here it comes. It's really hitting the water hard. I was going to film some ducks that had landed there. I should have seen that as an omen. A lot of times when animals sense a storm coming, they'll take shelter, and that's exactly what those ducks did. They landed in the water right before this happened. And they're hunkered down over there in some reeds. Very smart. It's amazing how they know that. I didn't know it was going to rain until it actually started. I mean, I knew it was going to rain at some point, but not right now. So a very noisy group just came out of here. Had to wait for them to pass. They were having a great time, bunch of kids. It was awesome. And then a quiet group just went by me. As you can see, it's raining. I've taken shelter under this spruce. And by the looks of the clouds, I don't think this is going to let up anytime soon. So I may, while I'm standing here, I may put on my rain gear. I didn't really want to hike in it. It doesn't breathe really well. It's easy to get really sweaty in rain gear. They're frog togs. They're lightweight. They're wonderful. I've had them for years. People have complained about them ripping and that kind of thing. I've never had a problem. In fact, on my first outing with Joe Shanks, when we first met, probably, what was that, 2016, I think. It was coming down pretty good, and I was almost just shivering cold, and I put on my rain gear and suddenly just felt warm and insulated, and they're really thin, so it was just a matter of keeping that moisture off of me. And I don't think this is going to get any lighter, so it's getting harder. I'm going to shut up and put my gear on. Okay, we've got some rain mixed with some tiny amounts of hail. Nothing too major. As you can see, there are now waves on this little pond. I'm pretty sure that older couple has hoofed it back to their car by now. That poor lady in her strappy sandals, that's all I can think about, and her cardigan. Look at the waves on that. Meanwhile, it helps to come prepared. And why am I wearing my sunglasses in a cloudy rainstorm? Well, I have my glasses. I didn't forget this time. I didn't leave them in the car. But when I started out, it was just bright enough. I just kept the sunglasses on. And now it's doing this, and I'm gonna have to dig out my glasses to really see what I'm doing. It's getting a little dark. Darker than it actually is. So I'm going to go ahead and find those as well. I'm glad I brought the rain gear. I checked the weather ahead of time. I knew what I was in for. So I'm just going to hang out here under this tree. The drier I can keep my pack, the better. And we'll just wait this out, I think. And when we get a break, we'll throw the pack on and hoof it up the trail. Alright, time to switch these out. So I've switched to the GoPro. Those couple of hikers are on their way out. It amazes me that people still wear blue jeans and cotton t-shirts. There's, you know, all of this moisture wicking stuff you can buy that's so lightweight and comfortable. Anyway, it's still coming down, but not as hard. We got a river going down the trail. This is beautiful. I switched to the GoPro because it's waterproof. I put my other camera in my pocket. That's one thing I want to mention about these Frog Togs. They do, maybe the newer versions probably have pockets, but this older version that I keep using because it's doing just fine. I keep reaching to put stuff in pockets and they're not there, so I have to put them under my Frog Togs into my pants pockets. So the camera's tucked away. It does not handle water well, and so we're using the GoPro. The sound sucks on this. Up close it's okay. From a distance it's terrible. So this is a Hero 5 Black. It's not the newest model. I'm sure the newer models have better sound, but I'm okay with this as long as I have a way to document my journey. Also, my cell phone is waterproof down to 5 feet, and I've never used it underwater. I don't plan on it, but ultimately I can film it with that as well. My pack is getting wet. I don't have a pack cover. This didn't come with one. It's supposed to be water resistant, but not necessarily waterproof, so I'm just praying that this lets up enough for me to get up the hill and find a place to camp. Ultimately, if we can't make it to Jewel Lake because of the storm, if I have to throw up my tarp and my tent just to get out of the rain, Ruth Lake isn't that far, and my guess is not very popular today. It's always popular at Ruth Lake, but maybe not today. It just depends with these afternoon thunderstorms in the Uintas. They can just come and go. The next thing you know, the sun's out and everything's okay again, and that's why I'm waiting this out. We needed a good rainy adventure, didn't we? I think so. Well, I've made an executive decision. We're just gonna hike in the rain. It's not as bad as it started out. There were some people hiking out that were here last night that said it did the same thing yesterday, and by evening it was crystal clear. So, good thing I wore the waterproof shoes, brought the Frog Togs. And I think what I'm gonna do right now is set up my tarp at Ruth Lake up here. Not necessarily the tent. And we're going to hang out under the tarp and just wait this out. If it doesn't clear up, I'll pull out the tent and we'll camp at Ruth Lake. You can see the trail is quickly turning into a stream. So, some lightning. Here we are at Ruth Lake. We were that close. Alright. There's some people at the far end. I know you can't see too well on this and it doesn't have a zoom, but we'll make do. Ruth Lake in the rain. Isn't that incredible? There's someone camped way out there in a bright yellow tent. I can hear some people over here. Sounds like they're hoofing it out. So we can camp over there. I don't want to camp on this side because it's right off the trail and I've made that mistake before. That's beautiful. Woohoo! This is epic, guys. This is awesome. So, slight change in plans. We're now above Ruth Lake. That altitude is wow. Some people the altitude doesn't bother, and some people like me are pretty sensitive to it. The reason I changed is because now it's just sprinkling, and I decided not to just stop and wait it out because it looks like it's lightening up. We might as well. Hayden Lake is right. I don't know what I'm filming. Hayden Lake is up there, and then beyond Hayden Lake is Jewel. So as long as it stays like this, I think we're okay to keep going towards Jewel. I've had to slow my pace because I'm sweating under this and I don't want hypothermia. And tell you what, guys, you haven't lived till you've been out in the rain in this. This is fantastic. Haven't had a good rainy adventure in a long time, and I think the last time I had one, I was up here at Hayden Lake with my buddy Joe. So same place. Kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, it's really lightening up. Speaking of lightning, I better keep moving, holding this in the air and hearing thunder over my head. And by the way, my feet are perfectly dry. Fantastic. Ooh. So I wasn't sure where to go when I got to the far end of Ruth Lake. And the all trails came through, the topographical map. I think I'll just stick with those from now on. I know they at least download and work. Each adventure has its own feel, its own vibe. I bring different things, I encounter different people, animals, weather. And so, because I've hiked this trail not too long ago, I thought, nah, I won't film it. But this, it's really hard to pass up. It's pretty amazing. So whoever uploaded this route that I'm following, they did some bushwhacking. And I'm on it, and we're cutting through this. Hayden Lake is right down there. We'll encounter it shortly, because it looks like this goes right by it. Everything's wet. Rainy Hayden Lake. We were camped right through there when I was up here last. Big boulder between those trees at the end of the lake there. That's where as I talked about in one of my last videos series, the ghost girl appeared and disappeared on me. That was so weird. So from Hayden Lake, it stretches along here. And past Hayden Lake is a pond, and beyond the pond is our destination, Jewel Lake. See, look at that. It's already lightening up over there. Still following my trail perfectly. This is an awesome app. I just wish the All Trails map worked. I don't know what the deal is there. Beautiful Hayden Lake. Good memories here. With Joe and solo by myself. So, pretty cool. My app keeps shutting. It's because of my touch screen here. The rain hits it and it's like, it thinks it's being turned off. So I keep having to open it. Now the trail is pretty easy to see where they went. They definitely did some bushwhacking to cut off some distance, which makes sense. It's pretty easy to find this lake from Ruth. You could almost just bushwhack your way up, but I don't know why you would the whole way. The trail's easier. Feels good to splash around in some puddles. Utah's been in a drought. Well, the whole western United States has. For some time. Now see, it's very easy to lose the trail right here. If I look on here, I just keep going this way. Because this just looks like rocks and puddles. I'm getting my breath back now that the ground is leveled out a bit, and I'm getting a little more adjusted to the altitude. You know, Joe and I camped here, right here. Look at this. This was our camp in 2017. We had a big, beautiful fire right here. And this was our cooking table. This was our camp right here. We had a great time up here. Camp Joe and Steve. I think Joe, let's see. My hammock was hanging over here somewhere. Probably between a couple of these trees, and Joe's was very nearby. So I think what we did, if I remember right, is I was between that little tree and this, and Joe was also on this one and strung across probably to that tree. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but this is our camp. That was a fun camp. That was a good time. But today, we're creating more good times. Solo. Again, I can't emphasize enough how much this is helping. Look. Now there's a trail right here. But for a minute there, right back there, it just, you couldn't even see it. I was cutting straight down here. But as long as I'm following this, I know I'm at least going the right direction. This has a pretty good feature on it too, that it notifies you if you get off trail. Right now, it's pretty obvious. So we're leaving Hayden Lake behind. It's back there. There's the pond I was talking about is down through those trees. Again, I can't zoom in on the GoPro, so sorry about that. It looks like we might go by it, though. It's hard to tell because I have raindrops all over my screen. Tell you what, though, I'm having a great time hiking in the rain like this. It's cool, it's refreshing. I'm dry, my feet are dry. My pants and my shirt are damp, but it's because of the sweating. So I'm going nice and slow. For a while there, I had a pretty good almost sprint going. Look at that. Just like that. Blue sky and sun. That's what I'm talking about, the weather up here. So anyway, I slowed my pace. I'm sweating less. I'm looking forward to setting up camp so that I can take off the rain gear and cool down. I'm actually almost too warm. Look how green and beautiful. You wouldn't know we were in a drought, but back home we definitely are. Conserving water, and you can only water twice a week between certain hours. There's our pond. Now Joe and I explored this. It's fun to reminisce, but we did explore this pond right down here. And our trail continues this way. So we are beyond the pond now, and from here on out, I have not been here before. Very beautiful. Look how amazingly green this is. Splash, splash. Look at these purple flowers are everywhere. These weren't really in bloom when I was up here last time. Let's get across this river, this raging river. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Alright. Oh. What's the trail doing here? Looks like Looks like people have gone through here. Yep, there it is. They just went around these fallen trees. So that's what we'll do. Our trail is still visible right here. That pond is halfway between Hayden Lake and Jewel Lake. So I should be getting close at this point. And as long as the rain lets up, I'll be able to get out the other camera for better quality video. I mean, the quality's fine on this, but I can't zoom in or out. And the sound, you know, always an issue with the GoPro. So, you know, they probably improved it. I just don't want to pony up the cash for a new GoPro. Yep, we're here, guys, already. Quite the adventure getting in here, wasn't it? I'm glad we didn't stop at Ruth. I'm glad the rain let us, because if it had kept coming down like that, I would have had to throw up the tarp and just sit. In fact, when Joe and I were up here at that campsite I was just at, when we first got to it, it was raining so bad that before we could even set up camp or anything, we pulled out our tarps and just dove underneath them. And we just hid under there until it stopped. That's what I was almost on the verge of doing. Welcome, my friends, to Jewel Lake. And a jewel it is. Wow. There's a good viewpoint right here. Okay, so what we're looking at is there's some cliffs and rocks that way. It looks like the easiest way to find a campsite is going to be around the lake that way, which explains why on the GPS, you know, the tendency is to keep to the right and go around that way. And I couldn't figure out why the arrows were saying go that way, but now it makes sense once you see it. Just rocky cliffs right there. And I don't see anyone camped here, guys. Oh, this is epic. This is epic. This is what I come up here for right here. Not that Clyde Lake crap from my last series. Too many people. This is just right. Okay. We'll head that way and walk around the lake until we find a suitable site for us. Do some serious boulder hopping through here. God, look at that. That's incredible. Whoa. Slippery. Take it slow. This is not where I want to be when I eat it. There is no one here to help. The bottoms of my shoes are wet from all that hiking, and it makes for some slippery circumstances. Oh, there we go. There's another view. Here's a cairn. Continuing this way. Still gotta kind of go through this. I think we'll go that way through that bottleneck and down. I can see the trail. Don't want to get too hasty with wet rocks and wet shoes. Choose each step very carefully, and then you'll be fine. Wow. It's so amazing to come to a place I've never been before. I've been listening to an audiobook that I want to talk about later, but they mention in there, no matter how many times it involves the Appalachian Trail. It says no matter how many times, how many people have encountered the Appalachian Trail, to someone who's never been there before, it's brand new. And so that's how this feels. A lot of people have been here. This is a loop. It's a popular one, but not so popular that it's crowded. And the rain has helped keep people away. But not this people. And this is all new to me. It's beautiful. It's pretty boggy in here. If I'd worn my regular hiking shoes, I'd have been in trouble. My feet would be soaked by now, for one thing, just from the hike in. But then having to walk through this spongy ground. Our camp won't be spongy, but that right there sure is. Look at it. That is Lofty Peak. I couldn't remember the name of it when I was up at Hayden, but I've double checked on this GPS, and that is definitely Lofty Peak. I knew it was, but I didn't want to say the wrong peak and have all of the expert Uinta guys jump on and say, "You idiot, that's Lofty." That's a popular hike too for peak baggers. On the other side of this area is, you got Mount Marcel over there too, and you've got the Kuberant Basin. That is where Garrett Bardsley disappeared. I've done 2 series of videos on that now. I updated it. I did it the first time on July 4th of 2020. Explored where he disappeared. 2021, I went back on the same weekend and revisited the area with better information than I had in 2020. So I think I nailed it more accurately this time. Not to be deceived, but sometimes the greenest areas are the worst places to camp. That's probably very swampy right there. And our trail goes this way for a reason. My plan with a campsite is just to find anything with a fire ring. I'm not having a fire. They're illegal up here right now because of the drought. I don't think there's a good chance of me burning anything down right now. But the law is the law, and I don't want to break the law. So, no fire on this trip. Probably be that way through the summer. But a fire ring means a campsite. I don't want to make a new campsite. I want to use one that's established and one that meets my needs. I want to be able to hang up my tarp and have a place for my tent, and I don't know, just make it homey as possible. Just because there's a fire ring doesn't mean it's the ideal campsite. So I'll know it when I see it. That's how it usually goes for me. I know it when I see it. Here's a good example of what I'm not looking for. Okay, there's a fire ring, it's got logs around it. Seems alright. But the trail comes right through here. And if the weather does improve, people are going to come walking right through my camp, and I don't want that. It's nice that it's near the lake, but let's continue this way. See what we can find. This is what I mean, that just because there's a fire ring doesn't mean it's a campsite. Here's the trail. There's a fire ring. Why you would set up camp here is beyond me. Somebody's built a lean-to right here. That's pretty interesting. I'll be able to switch cameras soon if it's really looking like it's clearing up. Look at this. That's amazing. Somebody really put some work into that. Where's the entrance? Oh my gosh. There it is. Here's the entrance. There's some fishing gear over there. Looks like a little alcohol stove, cat food can type thing. And a float. It's fairly dry in there. It's dripping from the branches, but that's pretty cool. Well made. Somebody knew what they were doing. And we've reached the far end of the lake, so I'm not going to continue that way. We're just going to keep going around. Hopefully I find that campsite that the universe just has waiting for me. Okay, we're back to the original camera. As you can see, sun came out, beautiful. Wow, this place is so unpredictable, it's crazy. So let's continue on from the lean-to. I've taken a little break here and just kind of went to the bathroom and rejuvenated myself, just took in the peace and quiet for a bit. Isn't that beautiful? Look how clear the water is. It does not look to me like Jewel Lake has fish in it, but there's a fish bobber in that lean-to thing right there. So maybe they're just not too active right now because of the rain. Right now the water is flat and calm. We'll discover that as we... Oh yeah. Right over there. And now right over there. That always happens when I'm talking about, I don't think there's fish here. And then there they are. It's like they can hear me. Anyway. What a shot. Okay. We really need to find camp before maybe that stuff comes this way and we end up in a similar situation. Okay. I'm hoping there's something even up in away from the lake further, because I really don't want to camp at that site back there. Nor do I want to hike on to the other lakes yet. That's part of the plan up here, unless it rains the whole time. But hopefully it won't. I'm keeping my eyes peeled. It's easy enough to just walk up a little hill like that and find a beautiful campsite. So, you know, you're supposed to camp 200 feet from the water. I just don't want to go too far. I want to keep my bearings, know where the lake is. Let's go up in here. That looks like it's just going to go through that swampy area and by those rocks and back over to those cliffs. My guess is, because there's kind of a trail right here, somebody has to have camped up in here at some point. Ooh, look at that. Look at the design on that log. Wow. It's like a big hunk of caramel or something. That is cool. Okay, there's the lake. I've kind of backtracked but gone up the hill. This kind of bothers me. What do you think broke that? Isn't this a sign of Bigfoot? I've always heard it is. Sign of Sasquatch is to find these trees broken in half like that. Look at this. I mean, something had to bend that down like that. Easily it could be a human that knows that about the legendary Bigfoot and they're trying to screw with someone. Someone could have stood on that and bent it down and it stayed like that, but this is supposed to be a sign of Bigfoot coming through. They say that they mark their territory by breaking or bending these, or it's possibly a way of that they communicate with each other. I have my own theory of Bigfoot. I probably will never talk about it on video because, you know, when you say stuff out loud, sometimes it just sounds crazy. But I am a believer. But I believe there is more at play than we think there is. I think there's stuff we just don't know that it's hard to explain when you don't have all the facts. So I'll leave it at that. I do believe it's a thing. And the Kubrant Basin is legendary for Bigfoot sightings, actually, if you Google it. Now you can tell with this one, it just grew that way. It grew and it just kind of came down, then it continued, it grew down this way. That's just what this tree has done naturally. That's not natural. Anyway, my point was, before I got distracted by that, there's a fire ring right here and a nice clearing. So I found our home for the night. This is our camp and the lake is right there, so I have my bearings. All right, let's get set up. Let's walk in there and figure out where everything's gonna go before we get round two. We won't need the fire ring, of course, and it looks like it's been some time since it's been used, but look at this clearing, it's pretty cool. We could put the tent right here in the middle, right here. The only problem I have with that is there's no cover overhead. It's just kind of exposed. So if it rains, the tent's gonna get it good. I may still do it. And I also want to find somewhere to put up my tarp, so I have something to cook under and that kind of thing, but not necessarily over the tent. Okay, I'm gonna shut this off, take a breather, figure this out. I have a really weak signal. I actually got some texts up here, but I can't send any. I'm receiving texts, but I'm not able to send any. There's just one bar. That's weird. You know, you get up here in the Uintas, no phone service whatsoever, but you reach a certain high point and you end up with some service. So it's happened before. All right, shut up, Steve. Set up camp. Okay, we got it. And I changed my plans a little bit with the camp setup. Decided the best route to take was to put the tent under a tarp, because there's really nowhere to put the tent that would be sheltered enough from the trees. So here you go. There's my setup. It's kind of squirrely. I'm sure there's a lot of tarp fanatics out there who are going to give me crap about this, but just remember that I'm out here to enjoy nature the best I can and to share it with other people, and that's why I'm here. I'm not about technical skill all the time. Of course, if it's life-saving or critical, then I am. But you'll notice I have the rain fly on, even though I have a tarp. That is in case the tarp fails. I have no idea what this tarp operates like under rainy conditions. It's from Chill Gorilla, and I've used it many times as a hammock tarp, but I've never used it in a rainstorm. And so I put the fly on as a, you know what, I just realized that fly is on completely backwards. We'll fix that in a minute. So there you go, there's my setup. I will fix that fly shortly. That's almost embarrassing, but the thing is, one end of this tent is small and the other one is wide. It's like narrow and wide. This is the wide end, that's the narrow end, and I got them mixed up. So it's easy to do with this tent. It's the Dominion 2 from Outdoor Vitals. A true test of this in the rain would be to remove the tarp, but I need something to cook under as well. So the other reason the rain fly is going to be on there is because I want privacy, because God knows what I'm going to be doing in there. My bedding is the usual. I've got the jungle blanket over an inflatable sleep pad and the Outdoor Vitals quilt, the Airy 30 over the top of me. So I'll sleep between the jungle blanket and the down quilt. I had to take my puffer coat out. Things did get damp inside my pack. It's over there in the vestibule. I was surprised how damp things got, but it didn't get wet. So it is water resistant, but not waterproof. I do have a pack cover at home. We'll talk about things I forgot on this trip that I've noticed. That's one of them. It's in the vestibule. It's under a tarp. It'll dry out. And I got the puffer coat out. It was just mildly damp. I'm just letting it air out and dry. And then here's all my cooking supplies. If you're wondering if our friend came along on this trip, Mr. Bob Jr., look how happy he is to get out of there. He's a good boy. Okay, let's get Bob Jr. out of there. There we go. All right, so Bob Jr. is along for this journey, as always. And I'm starving. What time is it here? It is 5:31. Don't mind the date on my watch, it's wrong. Yeah, that's close enough to dinner time for me. I'm friggin' starving. I had a sandwich and a drink on the way up, and that was pretty much it. And all that energy has been depleted hiking in here. So I'm gonna fix that rain fly, and then we're gonna actually make dinner. And we have some interesting ideas for food up here this time. A little different than what I've done so far this year. You can hear that it's kind of still sprinkling, but nothing like it was. Okay, it is not raining anymore. A slight drizzle maybe, and the sun, as you can see behind me, has come out. We'll do some exploring later. As long as it isn't raining, we'll go, you know, check out the rest of the lake and that kind of thing. Tomorrow, my hope is that in the morning, we'll be able to explore the other two lakes on this loop. Basically, you have Cutthroat and Teal lakes, and they all loop back around to here and then back out, you know, to the trailhead. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, it's about 5.7 miles total, but only 700 and something feet in elevation gain. So right now, though, I'm pretty hungry. I'm shaky almost. So let's talk about food. I'll show you what I'm doing as we go, but right now let's talk about what I brought for dinner, what I brought for breakfast, what I brought for snacks and in-betweens. It's a little different, and in my several previous videos I've been bringing MREs, and in the process of bringing those, there's a lot of stuff in them that I don't use, and so I've got a lot of miscellaneous leftover MRE stuff in a box at home. So I said I'd talk about the other thing I forgot too, and right now is a good time to mention it. It's a pretty bad thing to forget. Bug spray, bug repellent. I am up here with no protection from these bugs whatsoever, unless by some miracle there's something in here. But this got damp. It was in the top zipper of my pack. So note to self, put your rain fly in a pocket of your pack and just keep it there, and you'll never forget it. So, and the other thing is, make sure that I keep my bug repellent in here at all times. I got a lot of sediment in my hair, just making sure it's not like ticks or something, but it's not, it's just some sediment. So I don't see anything in here that even resembles bug repellent, unfortunately. So Utah Steve's gonna go home very itchy, but that's okay, as long as I don't get the West Nile. Okay, so I'm all over the place because I'm really hungry and I'm not thinking too clearly from the low blood sugar. Tomorrow's breakfast is Mountain House scrambled eggs, which I can't stand. I'll explain all this in a minute. Tonight's dinner is Mountain House beef stew, which I'm not fond of. For lunch tomorrow, the curry ramen I've been eating, I am a huge fan of this. Really good. I brought two. I'll probably just eat one for lunch. The other one is just if I get hungry and need something more. It's filling and easy and warm and comforting. We have a chocolate protein drink powder. That will probably go with the beef stew tonight, I'm thinking. Tonight, in the next few minutes. And then we have some hot sauce to hide the nasty egg flavor. Here is all of my MRE stuff that I have yet to partake in. And that is it. That's everything I brought. Now, the theme of this is not only leftovers, but things that I've been avoiding eating because I don't like them. I've had the beef stew. I'm not a fan. What happened is I bought a bucket of Mountain House meals. It came with beef stroganoff, beef stew, and scrambled eggs. Various packages of each. And also chicken and rice. The chicken and rice and beef stroganoff are awesome. I've always liked the chicken and rice, especially. They're all gone. The only thing left in my bucket were 2 of these and 1 of these. Thankfully, my kids like these, and when we go camping and backpacking, they'll eat them. I won't, but for the sake of, look how lightweight, you know? I thought, you know, I might as well just use them up. Not my favorite dinner, but I'll tell you what, with as hungry as I am, they're probably going to taste pretty amazing. So that is why I brought those. Again, this is all leftover MRE stuff, so it is what it is. The leftover MRE stuff I don't necessarily dislike. It's just stuff I haven't used yet. Dry roasted peanuts. Pepperoni pizza crackers. That might go well with dinner too. Pepperoni crackers, beef stew, and protein powder. That's a pretty filling dinner. That'll give me some good energy. Trail Mix Recovery. Good snack to have. First Strike Energy Bar. I haven't eaten. I've had one of these before. They're great. I really like them. And then I've got 3 packets of 2 peanut butter, which I love. It's fine. And especially looking forward to chocolate peanut spread. So that's basically a version of Nutella, but made from peanuts instead of hazelnuts. And then I've got a beverage base raspberry type 2. This is a thirst quenching sugar-free drink powder that I will enjoy. But I also brought from my own workplace supply. I didn't get it from my workplace, but I take these to work with me all the time. Peach Mango Energy Powder. So that'll help give me a boost when I need it. And that's it. That's what I brought. That's everything. We're just here overnight. There should be plenty. All right. Let us assemble our cooking area.